boxing stream.
Let's get a look at this tail of the tape. 24, Alonso is 2 years younger. He is 1 inch shorter, and Miranda enjoys a slight reach advantage.
And we begin round number 1. Alonso in the purple trunks with the black trim and sequins, and then Miranda in the multicolored trunks, mostly in red. Both fighters fighting out of the orthodox stance here in round number 1.
And both of these guys are the quintessential club fighters. You don't expect either of them to have much of a future in this tough business. Their value comes in the live fights, the entertainment that they provide for fans that attend a club show or that'll tune into a stream like this one.
And early on, it is Alonso jumping on Miranda, has him up along the ropes, and he actually may have hurt him there with the right hand and maybe an uppercut right down the middle. So the early advantage being pressed by the man in purple and black.
Yeah, Alonso is a pressure fighter, and he's a volume puncher. He's aggressive by nature. We saw that against Adrian Corona, and he made for an excellent 4-rounder against Corona, who is a prospect. He's a guy who had a good amateur career, somebody who is well-schooled. Miranda is not as talented or well-schooled as Corona, and it looks like he's on his way to being overwhelmed by Alonso.
I think Alonso showed a couple of months ago against Corona is the fact, number 1, he's durable, and number 2, he actually does have some skills that belie his record. Another right hand over the top by Alonso. So
Yeah,
Alonso been very, very consistent with a two-handed attack.
Right, and Alonso's young enough to where if he can string together enough wins, if he can win 4, 5, 6 in a row, you know, a 6-2 record doesn't look that bad. Maybe people will begin to treat him or view him as a prospect. But right now, he's just a scrappy club fighter, and he's putting on a show.
It's been a very brisk pace here in round number 1 between Alonso and Miranda. We are at the Avalon in Hollywood for the 4th edition of Hollywood Fight Night, the VIP boxing experience, brought to you by Tom Loeffler.
This torrid pace has been set by Alonso. He's the one who's initiated this aggression and this action. He's the one who scored most of the punches. The best thing Miranda has done has been able to absorb those punches. It's just take the beating and fire back occasionally.
And Doug, this being a 4-rounder, you kind of have to get out there real quickly.
You do. This pace is good for a 4-round fight, and Alonso is going to win this round. We'll see what his conditioning is like if Miranda can keep taking this punishment and start to fight back.
And that's the end of round number 1, and Teodoro Alonso is off to a very, very quick start. Round one is in the books. Our next bout after this one will be Devon Lee, 5-0 out of Sacramento, California, taking on Kenny Brown. And again, our main event featuring a bright young prospect that trains with Abel Sanchez out of Big Bear, Sergey Boachuk.
Vamos, Jaime, vamos, vamos, Jaime. This be first time in. Cerca de él. Combinación ahí, cortito. Cortito, Jaime.
I would say Alonso punched nonstop for the entire 3 minutes of round one.
And he's setting a pretty quick pace again here in round number 2. and basically right hands and then left hooks over the top.
Opening round definitely won by Alonso. He proved that he can dish it out. Miranda showed that he can take it so far.
And a good uppercut right down the middle by Alonso.
Yeah, you know, Alonso's not just sheer volume. There is some nice punch selection in there.
Yeah.
It's good placement, decent technique with those shots.
Yeah, it's real simple. Punches on the outside and on the perimeter will actually set up punches right down the middle and vice versa.
Now, Alonso's a good inside fighter. He likes to be forehead to forehead, chest to chest. I'm curious to see if he can box from the outside. He will, if he wants to progress his career beyond a club fighter, he will have to add those dimensions to his boxing game.
And you say that about 5 seconds ago, planted a good left hook downstairs to the body of Miranda. And again, uppercut right down the middle.
Yeah, he can put his punches together. He has nice punch placement, nice punch selection. We could see more combinations from him. And I think a body attack is good for a guy like Alonso because it's obvious that he's not much of a puncher. Not a bad puncher, but he's not like a power puncher.
So halfway through round number two, Teodoro Alonso continues to be a windmill in there against Jaime Miranda.
Man, he likes that uppercut. Yeah. And it would be great if he could put a left hook. When he lands a right uppercut, to put a left hook behind it. Yep. If he lands a left uppercut, bring a right cross behind it. He can start mixing up body punches with those uppercuts. I'd love to see a jab. That was a nice left to the body. And who knows, maybe Alonso can punch okay. Maybe it's just Miranda is just super tough.
Yeah, not only that, he's smothering him with activity. And that's one thing. You gotta like Alonso's technique of theory. It's just swing hard, swing a lot, you might hit something.
He's definitely a well-conditioned young athlete. You got to be in great condition to throw punches nonstop for 6 minutes, as he has.
So 2 rounds in, it's been all Alonso, punching often, punching a lot, and then landing plenty of leather on Jaime Miranda, who most likely is down 2-0 halfway through this scheduled 4-rounder. Doug, we have a question here from back in the day on Twitter. In honor of the costumes, who are Dougie's top 5 favorite rappers or rap groups?
Top 5 rappers or rap groups? I would go Public Enemy. I would go KRS-One. I would go Eric B. and Rakim. You could tell I'm pushing 50.
Yeah, you are really showing your age.
You can tell I'm closer to 50 than 40, can't you?
I don't disagree with the single choice.
You know what? I like 2 Live Crew.
2 Live Crew. I'm going to put in Run DMC.
Oh, yes. There you go.
I'm going to throw in Nas, a little bit newer.
Yeah.
And then I'll throw in Kool Mo D.
Not bad.
So we begin round number 3. We are scheduled for 4. And, Doug, I think there has to be a sense of urgency with Miranda, who most likely is down 2-0.
He started letting his hands go towards the end of round 2, had some success with applying pressure to Alonso. We need to see more of that. Maybe he can salvage a draw. He's got to know he's down 2. He's got to know he lost the first 2 rounds. You can't take headshots like that and think you're winning.
It's a very basic formula for Alonso. A lot of wide looping punches on the outside, which sets up uppercuts right down the middle.
Right, because when Miranda starts getting touched around his ears, he puts up his guard. And then the way he holds his hands to protect his jaw, it leaves him open for shots up the middle.
Right. In hockey, they would call that the 5-hole. And it's been certainly a very effective tactic for Alonso early on here.
There's a lot to work with Alonso. I mean, obviously, he's got a fighter's instinct and mentality. He's got warrior spirit.
Well,
obviously, he's well-conditioned. He lets his hands go. He's not shy in there. I'd just like to see some outside technique from the kid.
Doug, if you take a look at his record, 0-2, George Acosta's a guy considered a prospect,
Right.
certainly Adrian Corona.
Yes.
So if you're going to really try to nurture this career, matchmaking and managing is going to be vital. It's one thing to keep going in as a B-side. You got to pull back and say, you know what, if we're going to actually develop them, let's get him some winnable fights.
Yeah, and kudos to the matchmaker of this card and for Tom Loeffler's 360 for giving the kid a fight that was winnable, that was more of an even playing field, at least on paper, an 0-2 guy against a guy who was 2-2. And he looks like he's on his way to his first win, and you like to see that. And I'll tell you what, I like watching him fight.
Yeah.
I really enjoy watching him. I have a lot of respect for volume punchers.
Well, Doug, I think at the very least what Alonso's going to be is the type of guy that any young prospect that wants to go anywhere, he will be called the classic gatekeeper. You want to go somewhere, get past him. Another left hook to the body by Alonso. It's been a two-fisted attack from the very onset of this 4-round junior lightweight battle.
And Miranda is hanging in tough.
Good right hand there by Miranda.
Yeah, he needs that. He needs to get something done in there. And I was about to say the best thing Miranda has done is just showed a good chin. But he's got a decent right cross, decent straight right. He should let that hand go more.
Alonso made the cardinal mistake of pulling back straight with his hands down. It was a right hand over the top.
He just did it again.
And another one.
Yeah. So he's not a defensive wizard in there. Miranda should take advantage of that.
Now, were those two big right hands enough to get Miranda back in the fight? This is the end of round number 3. We are scheduled for 4 here on Hollywood Fight Night.
Some action from round 3. It was more of the same from Alonso. Non-stop punching, but Miranda actually punched back and found a home for his right hand. And we're seeing the hook crosses from Alonso and the right and some body work from Miranda.
Okay, round number 3 was close, Doug. I think you could have made an argument for Miranda, so most likely it's 2-1. 3 minutes to go here. If you're Alonso, I think, again, if you want that first professional victory, you need that insurance run, as they say in baseball.
Yeah, he should empty the tank, but protect his neck a little bit better. And it looks like he's trying to do that, trying not to drop his hands as he lets his hands go.
Yeah, if I'm Alonso's corner, I'm telling him 2 things, hands up, chin down.
And Miranda's punching back. Maybe Miranda's one of those guys that just, it takes him a few rounds to get warmed up, which puts you at a disadvantage if you're in a 4-rounder. Some nice head twisting shots landed by Alonso there. Miranda seems like he's the sturdier, like the physically stronger of the two, a little bit like more mature body, mature muscle.
Well, keep this
he
in
should
mind.
try to push Alonso back on his heels.
Keep this in mind, Miranda is 26, Alonso is just 20. And Doug, you talked about the quick pace of Alonso. Could he sustain it over 12 minutes? Well, look, in the last, I'd say 4 or 5 minutes of this fight, you're right. Miranda does seem like the fresher athlete inside that ring.
Well, Alonso's been doing all the work. So, yeah, Miranda, if he wasn't hurt by some of those punches or debilitated by some of those body shots, he should have more in the tank in this 4th and final round. And he's kind of fighting like it. He is providing some resistance. How many jabs do you think have
Not a
been thrown
lot
during this
No,
fight?
not a lot. This wouldn't exactly be a Larry Holmes exhibition of the stick. Let's just put it that way. Both guys have been chest to chest for the most part, banging away with both hands here. We got a minute to go in the 4th and final round between Teodoro Alonso and Jaime Miranda.
Yeah, and they are comfortable in the pocket, although both guys are weary.
And Doug, I'm assuming round number 3 went to Miranda. I think the first 2 minutes of this round have been relatively close.
Yeah, I thought the third round was close, but I like the activity and the volume, the sheer volume from Alonso. So I've got Alonso up 3 rounds to 0,
Okay.
but it could be 2 rounds to 1. In which case, it really behooves Miranda to empty his tank. Give it all he got, he could salvage a draw.
Under a half minute to go here in the 4th and final round, but an honest effort by both young men here. Teodoro Alonso, 20 years old out of LA, and Jaime Miranda, 26-year-old hailing from the state of Montana.
15 seconds. Vamos, vamos, ya se va a acabar, ya se va a acabar. Uppercut, Jaime, uppercut. 10 segundos. 10 segundos, tira. Vamos, vamos, vamos. Vamos, vamos.
And there it is, 4 rounds in the book. Alonso may have sealed the deal there in the 4th round. Doug, I think he outworked him in round number 4, and I think that may have been enough to put him over the top.
I think he's worked hard enough to deserve the W.
All right, our first bout is in the books. Again, we have 7 bouts on the docket for tonight. This is the 4th edition of the Hollywood Fight Nights, a Halloween-themed show. Steve Kim, Doug Fisher, and Cynthia Conte giving you all the rundown from ringside here at the Avalon in Hollywood. We are now adding up the scorecards. You just saw 4 spirited rounds between Teodoro Alonso and Jaime Miranda.
I think that's the best way to describe it, spirited.
Yeah.
Very spirited effort from both fighters. I think Alonso had a little more spirit than Miranda, although Miranda closed very well.
All right, we have all the particulars ready to be announced. Let's send it up to Joe Martinez.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, after 4 rounds of boxing, we go to the judges' scorecards, and all 3 have it 40-36 for your winner by unanimous decision. From Los Angeles, el regalo, Teo Alonso.